Hey, welcome to In The Treehouse. This is Coach Connor here in North Georgia. Happy to have all of you with us again here as we have another great conversation with a friend of mine, golfing buddy. I'm super excited about having you with me today, Helmut Holzier. We're going to get into that in just a moment. But first, a couple of housekeeping things that we have to throw out some shout outs to sponsors of the show. One, Action Coach, business that I have where I am coaching businesses, helping them to grow, to thrive, to get freedom back, and experience the good life that you can have as a business owner. And so, love working with business owners across the globe, and would love to talk with you about your business. And so, hit me up if you want to talk about how you can grow and maybe even come on the show. Our other sponsor is Fist Bump. Fist Bump is that tool that helps you to build relationships with your connections. They are about not just putting content out there, but really how that content develops that relationship with your leads so that they want to do business with you. And so if you are looking at a lot of content you're throwing out there, but you're not getting the results you want, you need to be talking to Fist Bump and help them turn your reputation into revenue. So that aside, without further ado, Helmut Holzier, who I am proud to say is a golfing buddy of mine. One of these days, I hope to beat you in golf.
Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah. He knows how I golf. But aside from that and the fun times that we have together, Helmut is, without dispute in my mind anyway, and I'm honored to have you here, the number one chef in the world. And I say that.
It's amazing what you get for $5 these days.
Yeah. Well, but you are a certified master chef in the United States and a certified master chef globally.
Correct.
Right? And from what you told me when we were golfing a couple of weeks ago, there are only 3 people in the world who have both of those certifications.
Right now, because several of my colleagues have unfortunately passed away. At one point, there was 5 of us who had both European, American, master pastry chef, master chef. So yes.
So you've got it all.
Yeah, and that and flat feet.
Well, I have had the privilege of partaking of your food, and I can tell you it is absolutely amazing. I can't even say.
It comes from here. It's all about food. Is about love.
Yeah.
You have to respect the food. You have to enjoy the food. It's all about the lifestyle. It's not recipe books. It's not about. It's here.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, it's I am privileged to count you as a friend.
Thanks.
So I start every show with the same question, right? This is the one commonality of the show, and that is, as kids, we all had a place where we escaped into our pretend imaginary world, our tree houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were a child, what was your tree house? Where did you go?
We would go nearby where I grew up was a large forest, right? And the older ones would tell us, "Be careful because there's witches and stuff." And we, of course, we had no fear.
Yeah.
So we would hang out in the woods and play and moss and just the temperature was way cooler in the woods than it was outside during the summer. So that's why we would hang out, and that's what was our escape. And that's how what about is across that mountain? What's over here?
Yeah.
And that's all my life I've been like that.
Yeah.
So
well, and you grew up where?
In near Innsbruck, Austria. It's about 30 kilometers south of Innsbruck. It's called Schwarz. And it's a former silver mining town. Of course, they don't mine anymore, but the mines are still there, and during the war was used for lots of good things. So
yeah.
But that's where I grew up.
Yeah. So when you were playing in the woods, what were you playing?
Hide and seek, or cross shooting
Yeah.
bow.
Yeah.
Made our own bows, made
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
string our
Cowboys,
own.
Indians, or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
always different,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
no Nintendo,
no electronic games.
no,
They didn't have electronic games back
no,
when you and I were
no,
kids.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. It was all outside and
Exactly.
yeah.
And we said, okay, the sun's coming down. It's probably about 5 o'clock now. We better hustle home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That must have been absolutely amazing to grow
or
up in the mountains.
we run across. There's a big river, the In River, go through, and we would fish for wood
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. And when we get a little older,
Yeah.
because it's pretty dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
To fish out the roots, and then the river would go fairly high, and then there was a stay away from it because you fall in it,
Uh-huh.
be a while before you get out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So what was your first experience with cooking?
actually, I wanted to become a mechanic
Okay.
on a cruise ship, so I can travel all over the world.
Yeah.
Right? And so my uncle knew because I was baking when I was 7 years old, and when there was a TV program, chef program, I would ask mom, "Can I?" Because my mom is a former chef as well. Can I make this? He said, "Yeah, if you clean up afterwards."
Yeah.
So clean as you go. That was
Yeah.
the rule.
Yeah.
And so we get all the stuff, and then but my uncle says, "You're going to be downstairs in the dungeons.
Yeah.
You're never going
Yeah.
to do anything else."
You don't want to do that? Yeah.
And I said, "Well, maybe I'd be like my dad. He was a master baker."
Mm-hmm.
And but my dad says, "No, no, no, no." Back then, they had to get up at midnight
Yeah.
because they didn't have the retarding system. They didn't have the flour sifting systems. All the stuff he could develop white lung. So
Yeah.
he says no. So I did even worse. I became a chef and a pastry chef.
So I didn't realize your mom was a chef.
Yeah.
So you had cooking going on all around
My
you.
grandma had her own cafeteria
Okay.
and took care of all the workers in the area. Was at the Wall of Astoria in Seefeld,
Yeah.
where I was born.
Okay.
And Dad, baker in the morning, during the off times, during the summer break, I would go and make deliveries, help him make deliveries.
Yeah.
He did blue Volkswagen bus, smelled unbelievable, all the fresh baked breads and the Danishes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would carry the trays in, and the ladies who would receive the goods in the bakeries, "Oh, pick one out. You're so cute." And I said,
Yeah.
Of course. I had a good time.
What do you see the difference between the baking that your dad did, baking that we see today?
But the principle is still, of course, has way evolved.
Yeah.
You have sheeters, cutters, portioners. You have all fillers. You have all the different technology, what makes things much easier.
Yeah.
Back then, everything was hand shaped. He made the most amazing Kaiser rolls, and that's a technique.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody ever knows that anymore.
Yeah.
Folding the dough in a certain way. So that was pretty awesome. And every Sunday he would make, we call it farmer's bread, Bauernbrot, farmer's bread, and make you slap your mama.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of butter on it, or a jam, or in the afternoon some bacon and sausage. The traditional farmer's bacon.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah. That's wow. Making me hungry.
Yeah, me too.
So you grew up in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
When did you come to the States?
I immigrated in 1981.
Okay.
New Jersey.
And you were, 3.
Some in that neighborhood, yeah. Right off the boat.
Yeah.
No, I was 23 at the time when I immigrated. Came straight from Bermuda, and then started my career in the States, and it's been fun ever since.
So did you start as a chef?
Yeah.
Or did you actually become a chef in Austria before you came?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I've worked a few places in Munich. I've worked a few places in Germany, just to get going. Then my first overseas job was actually in South Africa.
Okay.
Worked at the Carlton Hotel, and back then it was the only 5-star, 5-diamond hotel in the Western Hemisphere. We had menus changed weekly,
Mm.
and there's one restaurant, the Three Ships restaurant, was famous back then.
Yeah.
Dr. Bernard, and all the different famous people would come then. All Russian service, right? All bladed service. So we had Entremetier, Garde-Manger, all the different stations. The typical Escoffier Brigade style cooking, and was absolutely the most amazing learning experience I ever had.
So when you were home and you went into, I mean, straight from your dad's bakery to being a chef or being an apprentice chef.
Apprentice, yeah.
Okay.
Did my see when you have a similar, if you eat chef, basic chef, butcher, in that, if it's in the same realm of the experience, then you can do a 5-year apprenticeship program.
Okay.
Right? So you have your 3 years plus the 2 years, because the curriculum as far as nutrition and this stuff is fairly similar.
Yeah.
But then you have to add the other 2 years of practical experience. So that's what I do.
So, and I'm going to sound real dumb here, but which is normal for our conversations. You're used to that, right?
Easy.
But I'm so used to here in the U.S. You go into a restaurant and they have the label of a chef someplace. But I have a feeling a lot of the people who say they're chefs just have that title because they're the top dog in the kitchen and they haven't gone through some of that.
Well, there's similarities, so I don't want to take away anything from there's some amazing American chefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not so, and then there's amazing European chefs, and there's not so. Right?
Yeah.
So you can't really judge it by that. The apprenticeship is very structured in Europe, Germany, Switzerland, France. So you have your school. So basically, you have 9 months of the year you're in the actual restaurant or hotel, wherever you do your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And then 3 months you have your schooling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in between, of course, you have your vacation time, but back then it was not like that. You work whenever you
work. Yeah.
So most of them split shifts.
Yeah.
Work in the morning, have an afternoon break, and then go back in the evening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Unheard of here.
Yeah.
Nobody would do that.
Yeah.
But it was very structured, especially at the school. You were living there, so you were a consumer, and you had to serve.
Yeah.
Right. So you were in service, you were in the kitchen, you were in the front desk.
Yeah.
So you learned the whole, and then you had to do housekeeping.
Yeah.
So nobody came and did your room. You did that.
Yeah.
So you had no choice. And there was inspection. So everything had to be lined up. So when I enlisted the military in the special forces, for me it was a picnic because we already been through 3 years, 5 years at this stage of doing that. So it was easy.
It's just normal life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just, that is a rigorous education.
Yes, we had upward to 14 subject matters, and sometimes we had eight exams in a day.
Yeah.
Different ones.
Yeah.
Right. So if you miss a day, you were behind.
Yeah.
Right. It was really, really rigorous.
Yeah.
There's no, from haircut, you would have no chance of if your hair was touching the ear, you could not go in the kitchen.
Wow.
If your fingernails weren't clean, if your uniform was not pristine, pressed, everything, you would not allow in the kitchen. Wow. It was
very strict.
Yeah, very strict.
Yeah. See, and that I contrast to, my thought is if somebody can cook really good, then they couldn't call themselves a chef. And that's not that they're not.
Technically, yes.
Yeah, but
that's why you have the MasterChef TV show. Has nothing to do with the certified MasterChef program we have to go through.
Yeah.
Then you have another. That's an earned title.
Yeah.
Right? Then you have the Wax MasterChef, or the Global MasterChef. That's a given title because you earned certain things.
Yeah.
It's a given. It's not an earned.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It has evolved over the years, and now we because it's hard for young people to break away
Yeah.
and take 10 days or 8 days, whatever it might be. So now we shrunk it down to a 5 day. Not any easier,
Yeah.
still difficult, but
Exam. Yeah.
and hopefully our industry grows.
Yeah.
Because at this stage we're only 71.
Yeah.
If with the master base chefs, we probably 78, something like that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a small group,
Yeah.
and you have no voice.
Yeah.
So that's why we're trying to build that more.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've had such a rich life. We've talked about some of the experiences you've had.
I was been very blessed all my life. I've been to places. I've been able to work in some phenomenal places.
Yeah.
Got to travel to some phenomenal places. Enjoyed Asia. Enjoyed Europe. Enjoyed
Yeah.
different continents. I've not been to Australia yet. I will be eventually.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
I hear they have good mutton over there.
Possibly. Can attest to that. I have some friends that live there, so I'm sure they
Yeah.
have some, and what I hear from some of my friends, their culinary is very elevated.
Yeah.
And that's how culture is. The more elevated the culinary is, the more elevated the
Yeah.
society is.
Yeah. What is so you've worked in a lot of restaurants, and you've had some restaurants.
I was a partner in one that was a 9-week stint. That was not a
No.
great thing.
No. What happened?
Uh,
If you want to talk.
not really.
Okay.
Because I try not to say something negative.
Yeah.
If it's not
Okay.
necessary.
Sure.
It wasn't working.
Management decisions, working together.
Leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to bash anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
No point for that.
Okay.
And so now I started in a restaurant group. They had at the time 5 restaurants, so I was able to rotate in all different cuisines.
Yeah.
Everyone had than the apprentice was.
Yeah.
But it builds character. It taught me so many things to overcome in life. So it's all been welcome.
Yeah.
At the time, I wanted to quit in my 3rd year,
Mhm.
and my dad says, "We do not quit. When you start, you have a choice.
Yeah.
You finish.
Yeah.
If you want to drive a truck afterwards, that's up to you. But you finish."
Yeah.
Thank God he did.
Yeah.
Because I would get my ration of shoes out my you know what.
Yeah.
And so it was not exactly always candy.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. I had the opportunity to learn butchering, baking, the whole 9 yards. So I feel you need to have that to be a well-rounded chef. You have to be able to function in every segment of the kitchen. Otherwise, you're not really an executive chef. So.
Well, and I know when you were over here a few months ago, and did an absolutely wonderful evening for my clients, and
that was
teaching
that was a fun evening.
It was a fun evening, teaching them, showing them a number of things, and just giving them an experience that many people.
It's all about the kitchen. It's an amazing team effort.
Yeah.
Right. It really has to click. And when you think about the 7-8 components on a plate, what it takes to put one plate out and be perfect to a customer.
Yeah.
It is an amazing.
Yeah.
It's like an orchestra.
Yeah.
Right? Everything has to fit.
Yeah.
Right. To get there, warm food, hot food, hot, cold food, cold. So you have to really be into it.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody in the team has to do the job. Yeah. If you have a weak link, it takes the whole team.
Yeah.
And it's through COVID, it taught us a lot of things. Some good, some not so good, but it taught us that you not necessarily always have a job as a chef.
Yeah.
Right. So that used to be, I can always find a job.
Yeah.
Well, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought and a lot of people also said, okay, well, I can work less and make that kind of money
Yeah.
and have a lifestyle. So it was a
A trade-off.
paradigmic shift.
Yeah.
It was
It really
a shift
was.
and rightfully so, because if I think back when I was an apprentice or doing a career, some of the ownership was not exactly
Yeah.
user friendly.
Yeah.
So you had to really,
Yeah.
and being taken advantage of was very common.
Yeah.
Oh, you only can work 60 hours this week. So or you only can work a half day. Well, I mean, already been here 12 hours.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a half day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah.
it's and still, if you really want to be successful in this field, it takes a lot of either you have a great team,
Yeah.
and you really work the team and really cherish everybody and really support everybody, then you have a life.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good team and you still have high expectations, right? So you have to serve.
Yeah.
You have to serve, otherwise
People will come.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So there's no shortcuts.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah. Right? So when I tell people that we're friends, and I name drop every once in a while because I think you're like one of the coolest guys I know. They always one of the first questions they ask is, where's his restaurant?
That and that's a good question, because every chef really, most chefs really would like to have their own restaurant and build their own legacy, right?
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal. And I had the opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't work right, but I look beyond, that as a chef, because of all the different facets of things you have to be able to manage, from procurement to this, and this, you learn how to manage other things. So there's a lot more than just a restaurant. There's healthcare, right? There's senior living. There is R&D. There's manufacturing. So I kind of branched out into that a little bit more, not by this decision, but it just happened. So just life goes on, and you constantly have to evolve. You constantly have to adapt to what's out there. You cannot say, "Oh, I'm this." It doesn't work this way.
Well, and I almost think if had you been in a restaurant, that would have limited you to
You cannot touch
one thing.
So I was fortunate to have some amazing team members, had some amazing, and still a lot of good friends, and able to teach on a much larger scale, right? And learn on a much larger scale, right? So it's not easy to have 5 skillets going, but let's take those 5 skillets and put it in manufacturing. It's a whole other ballgame, right? Different thinking, different methodology, different way how you go about, right? So those are all stepping stones, to go. And today I'm still having fun. That's what's all counts.
You are.
Right?
You are. Some of the things that we talk about that you're doing as we're out on the golf course. It's just cool stuff. I know a couple of years ago, one of the things that fascinated me was you mentioned, I think you were going up to New York or to Boston, working with a company that was looking to expand out and trying to help them to figure out how do you have the same high quality at the original restaurant? How do you duplicate that out in so many other restaurants?
And that's the art. That's the art of I call it the swiveling chair. When the chef is not there, this chair roll, it still has to happen. So it's all systems, and as the system has to be in place. Right. You have a system in place, it operates itself. Right. So everybody in the team knows that's my function. That's a standard I have to live up to. It's like a wheel, and then it rolls. Right? So if you really want to have a successful restaurant, any operation basically, it has to function without you being there. So you have the systems and all the stuff in place
Mhm.
so they can function.
Yeah.
Right? So the trick is, okay, you have to open another restaurant in Miami and you cannot be there.
Yeah.
So every recipe, every step, everything has to be documented.
Yeah.
Has to be done.
Yeah.
It's almost like doing a franchise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's very highly regulated.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
if you follow that kind of method,
Yeah.
you're usually successful. Of
Yeah.
course, you have to put the right people in place.
Right.
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 So I would say it's better to interview and check everything out on the front end
Yeah.
than on the back end.
Yeah.
Because
Well, and yeah, I remember you saying you can't just double recipes or 10 times a recipe and
No.
expect the
As
same
soon as
quality.
as soon as you go on above 10 portions
Yeah.
and then, or more, then it becomes a formula. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have to, it goes by percentages. So,
Yeah.
and that's why all my life I worked always 1 gram is 1%.
Mhm.
Right? All my development work is done in grams.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more precise than ounces, spoons.
Yeah.
Some people send me recipes, a gallon of flour.
Yeah.
Okay, really?
A gallon of flour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, over the years you see a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
so I try to put it into one denominator. So
Uh-huh.
therefore, when I say, okay, I need 100 portions, I
Yeah.
can just go and take my formula and say, this is what I need for 100 portions, and it scales it.
Wow.
I only need 10 portions, it scales it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's all, again, systems.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, but of course, you have to, in every segment, you have to have skilled labor.
Yeah.
That's lacking these days. It's harder and harder to find skilled labor.
Yeah.
But
Very cool.
but you can build them yourself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. But I think what you say, and that's where I coach folks, right?
exactly.
You don't have a successful business when you're still working in your business. If you're still having to show up every day, that's truly not a successful business. You have a job.
Exactly. You have not. Yeah. You buying your own paycheck.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
work with your own paycheck.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. And if you look at the real successful people, they have people in play.
Yeah.
And they oversee it.
Yeah.
They're the coaches.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. You have the owner who up there who's kind of watching over, almost like playing chess, right?
Yeah.
You know, and managing the moves, but you're not in the game. You know, and when we get to that
Well,
point,
in the kitchen, it's different because the customer wants to see the chef.
yeah,
Right? Or
yeah.
the owner, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Yeah.
But and that those little fine touches,
Yeah.
it's usually the chef,
Yeah.
developing the menu and stuff. So
Yeah.
you have to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't manage a kitchen from the office.
Yeah.
Impossible.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So many variables. So it's impossible.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. So, so you've had so many experiences. Who are some of the folks that you have had the privilege of cooking for in your life?
Wow. The first really impressive to me, of course, was Dr. Bernard, the first doctor who did heart transplant in South Africa.
Yeah.
He used to come to the Three Ships. That restaurant at the Carlton Hotel was world famous at the time. And he would come. So did I directly cook for him? No, but he was
there,
right?
And he ate your food.
Right.
Yeah.
I did with a friend of mine. He unfortunately passed away. Neil Connolly. He used to work for the Kennedys. So Rose Kennedy's 90th birthday, we made her birthday cake.
Oh, really?
That thing was 6 feet tall. Each layer about this big. Chocolate cake, really dense.
You made Rose Kennedy's birthday cake.
Well, we did.
Well, you together.
I would not like to put a feather in my head.
You're humble.
Well, the truth is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, Neil,
Yeah.
we had the big baking pans. We laid them, all fresh fruit filling, and we used broom handles. Of course, it was sanitized.
Yeah.
To cut them because she had to stack
Sure.
6 feet high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Dowels just wouldn't work.
Yeah, and clean them and then stick them in. That would not hold it. No.
Yeah.
That was a project.
Yeah. Wow. What fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So there's been numerous things like that.
Yeah.
And there's colleagues and friends where we did presentations together, and we
Yeah.
had 400 people laughing
Yeah.
their heads off
Yeah.
for
I
having
mean,
fun.
but you've cooked for presidents
Yes.
and all sorts of people
Yeah.
all over the world,
Mhm.
and yeah, had some.
Or I was on the team. I'm not,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it can't,
yeah. So speaking of Kennedys, and of course he's in the news a lot
Mhm.
these days, Robert Kennedy, and one of the things that he's talking about is getting our food sources back to a more natural
I
base.
agree with him 100%. So the difference between European philosophy
Uh-huh.
and American philosophy in Europe is the chef goes, or the operator, the manufacturer goes, how fresh can I get this product to the client?
Yeah,
Right here, how long can I make it last?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So here's all about shelf life,
yeah.
right? And over there's all about freshness.
Freshness.
Right?
Yeah,
So completely different.
yeah,
Right? The development is different. The packaging is different. The handling is different. So
Yeah.
it's all about here. It's easy. Just throw a few preservatives in it.
yeah,
Off you go.
yeah, yeah,
18-month shelf life, no problem. 24-month shelf life, no problem.
yeah,
2-year problem. So of course there's technologies as well. So
yeah,
you're looking at the MREs, or you're looking at
yeah,
technology where packaging is like the tuna you see in the that's retort,
yeah.
in the pouches. So that is technology that will help.
Mhm.
So it's time, temperature, and technology makes it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
As long as you stay away from the preservatives, I'm good with it.
yeah,
Right? So all my development I do all natural. There's no
yeah,
preservatives. There's no flowing agents.
yeah,
There's no silicone.
yeah, yeah,
This and that and the other. So
yeah.
that's is all about who you are, what you eat.
Uh-huh.
100%. Carême said it back in the 1800s.
Mhm.
Escoffier, same thing. So you are what you eat.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about it.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And it's really important that we get back to
yes. Yeah. There's too many shortcuts, and they call it manufacturing aid. When
yeah,
it's below certain percentage, you don't
Mhm.
even have to list it on the ingredient tag.
yeah,
Right? It's called the manufacturing aid. A lot of stuff gets hidden there.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
okay. That's why we have allergies. That's why we have all this stuff. It's all food.
It's all food related.
yes,
So,
pesticides, all this stuff. So,
yeah. Wow. Yeah.
but I don't want to get too political.
I don't think I really don't think it is a
No,
political
okay.
thing. I
No,
think that it's
I'm all about give our kids the best possible food.
yeah,
They learn better. They become better adults.
yeah,
They return. So it's definitely we have some issues.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, hopefully we can get things
Yeah,
turned around.
Yeah. I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Get healthier for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's in Europe. There was even already started during my time. It was normal there. Organic was normal.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
then it was actually if you were in a government run like a hospital,
Yeah.
a school system, and if you're the executive chef, you had to use 60% of organic product.
Yeah.
Okay. Not organic from China.
Yeah.
Organic.
Yeah,
Right?
like local.
Certified.
Yeah,
We call it bio.
yeah,
Bio. Anyway, and I've seen colleagues get canned because they didn't
Didn't-
adhere. They
Yeah.
try to shortcut,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's cheaper.
yeah,
Right?
sure.
But think about it: obesity, diabetes,
Uh-huh.
all the stuff is rampant.
Yeah.
Right? If you put that money in the front
Yeah.
and feed people the proper stuff,
Yeah.
you don't have these problems later
Yeah.
with diabetes to this, and the other, high
Yeah.
blood pressure. And you have to have all this more healthcare,
Yeah.
more big pharma, of course, loves it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you have a headache, you have a pill.
Yeah.
Have it, oh, here you have a pill. But you can fix a lot of stuff with proper eating,
Yeah. Yeah.
proper diet.
Well, and the food industry is not going to be happy with it because it's
No.
going to eat into some of their profits.
Correct.
Yeah. So
It's all about output, how much per hour,
yeah.
how inexpensive. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
But if the mentality of the consumer has to change as well.
yeah,
I can get 10 pizzas for $10.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's not
The almighty dollar.
Yeah, it's not realistic.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
So good quality costs.
yeah.
So okay, let's not have 6 pairs of shoes. Have 4 pairs of shoes and
Yeah.
put better food on the table.
Yeah, yeah. It is a wholesale change of how people think, and needs to change.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and kind of along that vein as well, I know food shortage is, something that you have considered, and how, as the populations continue to grow, how are we going to,
Well,
make
that's
food available?
well. So let's look at, we waste about 40% of our product
Wow.
we produce.
Yeah.
Right? Quick. Okay,
Uh-huh.
what falls off the belt?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, no big deal. Right. So if we can look at globally, because today is no longer regional here. It's all about global. Everything affects everything.
Yeah.
Right? The avian flu, all the stuff affects stuff.
Yeah.
This prices, right? Of course, it's not always something here. Everybody else raises the prices here too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Free enterprise, right?
Sure.
But if you look at third world countries, if they are able to modernize and go and bring their harvest
Mhm.
and utilize it, because they lose 40% of their product because it cannot be frozen, it cannot be
Yeah.
properly handled.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is not there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So stuff rots
Mhm.
on the vine.
Yeah.
Right? So that's, if we can get that,
Mhm.
just solve that. There'll
Yeah.
be no more famine.
Yeah.
No more. Right.
Wow.
So it's, here we waste it, there we lose it. And so if we can get our heads together and say, okay, and we, of course, population growth.
Yeah.
So obviously there's different things in place. Plant-based.
Yeah.
Bioreactor.
Yeah.
All different things. Plant meats grown in the lab. Right now, everybody's kind of maybe not.
Yeah.
But technically speaking, if you don't have enough cows, and you don't have enough fish, what are you gonna eat?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
something has to give. But if we all work together and look at this whole thing on a global scale, it's not just this, it's just America, just Europe, or just
Yeah.
this, it is affects worldwide.
Yeah. But what I hear you saying is the world is sufficient to sustain our population and then some, if we are smart about how we do it.
Exactly. I mean, look in the States, and I don't know the exact figures, but we don't utilize all the farmland we have potential
Mhm.
to use.
Mhm.
Right? It's not utilized. So
Yeah.
we rather import stuff from other countries.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
So again, it's always kind of a cutting edge conversation, but there's no need for that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If we utilize all we have here, we're not drawing away from other.
Yeah.
Plus, we can give back
Yeah.
to others.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating. So, moving away from the heavy topic, you were out in Colorado here recently, right?
Yeah.
What were you doing in Colorado?
So, Ghirardelli is one of my dear customers.
Yeah.
They're amazing company, amazing team members. And so every year is a Todd food show, one of the largest sub-distributor in the world, I think. Multi-billion-dollar company. And it's all about ideation. It's all about new ideas. So Ghirardelli gives me the opportunity to take their great chocolates and then go and make fun stuff with it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then customers come and say, "Oh wow,
Yeah.
oh you made Dubai chocolate, yeah, here you go." Or this, that, and the other. So it's always fun to come up with fun ideas.
Yeah.
It all goes back to basics, right? But then put a twist to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all the fundamentals of cooking, fundamentals of baking. But make it taste good,
Yeah.
and make it look good.
Yeah. So if somebody goes into Ghirardelli store
Mhm.
and they see this like new kind of cool stuff, that's
Not
there.
necessarily that. It's more. I work more not for the retail side,
Yeah.
more for the professional, for the
Ah,
side.
yeah.
And there's more. Hey, you can do this without chocolate.
Okay.
Right? It's not necessary. The ideas and stuff like the pictures you see online that comes from the corporate
Okay.
office, right?
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with
You have nothing to do with that. You just do the fun stuff,
exactly.
the R&D. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So, I know you are still very active and stuff, and I know there's things that you're working on that we're just not going to talk about because they're
It'll be announced. It'll be announced soon.
Yeah.
So soon enough.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's been only a few years in the workings. So
Yeah, and I'll be excited about that, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll have you back on, and you can talk about that then, because it'll be a big splash.
I don't want to over say.
Over promise and under deliver.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to keep it.
Yeah. But what other things are you working on these days?
It just changed. I just finished a brownie project, a gluten-free brownie project with two different ones, with one with a caramel layer and a milk chocolate layer, available in a lot of Kroger stores and stuff, and a traditional brownie, but all gluten-free.
Okay.
So
And what's the label if somebody wanted to get that?
Good question. I have so many NDAs.
Yeah.
Right? So
Okay.
I keep
Sorry.
that's okay.
Yeah.
So, working on a flatbread project. So always something
Yeah. Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
So,
You're the man behind the scenes that make things happen.
correct. I don't need sunlight. I don't need the big hooray.
Yeah.
It's all about the customer. It's all about their success.
Yeah.
That's what it's
Yeah.
about.
Which, and maybe we'll wrap up with this. One of my favorite stories with you was a few years ago, you being asked to go to Monaco,
That was
where
fun.
you don't need the limelight. Tell that story, because I think that's
It's
just a choice
actually
story.
my one of my partners got this call. Oh, we're gonna open this. We're gonna introduce the first all-electric yacht,
Uh-huh.
right? Multi-million-dollar yacht.
Yeah.
Right? And we're working on a project at the time, and they liked what we were working on. And oh, why don't you guys come on board, right? And showcase your stuff, and we'll introduce you to all those people.
Yeah.
And say, okay, who's going to pay my flight to get there? Who's going to pay for this, and this? Oh, we give you all this opportunity. I said, look, you got $1 million or like $15 million yacht, whatever, and
Yeah.
you want me to pay for it? Not
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
So
You don't need to work for free.
nobody should.
No, but certainly, yeah.
Right.
So,
There's of course a lot of times we do fundraisers, and I'm very much behind it. I do a lot of stuff for the military. I do YMCA,
Yeah.
the YMCS in Alaska every year. I'm doing all kind of different stuff to give back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For the less fortunate, but for that,
No.
If you got
Yeah.
millions hanging there, no.
Yeah.
You can afford it.
Yeah. Well, and I know you mentioned you were in the military, the
Yeah.
Austrian military,
Austrian
right?
military.
But
It's about the size of the fire department here.
yeah. Well, this being Memorial Day, appreciate your
Thank
service and
helping
helping to keep.
all our soldiers and
Yeah.
for their services.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to be able to meet a lot of wonderful people doing that.
So I know I was just talking with one restaurant owner here locally who just has opened up his restaurant in the last 6 months or so.
Mhm.
As we close, if you were to tell young people who are coming into the industry, one thing that you've learned over the years, what is it that you would say, this is the one bit of advice that you give them is,
If I had to do it over again, I get more education.
yeah,
You can never in this business. It never stops. until they put the lid on top of you, then
Yeah.
it stops.
Yeah.
But even my grandma, she worked at the Villa Blanca. That is probably the #1 hotel academy in Austria, and she worked there. And the chef there would say, "Yeah, if I can learn something,"
Yeah.
and that was a pretty eye-opening
It's good.
statement.
Yeah.
No, if I don't learn something a day,
Yeah.
working in the kitchen, it's a wasted day.
Yeah.
Right? No, there's always somebody knows something better than you.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, keep your mouth shut. Yeah. Listen, and learn.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
It was a pleasure. It's good setup.
I told you it'd be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt.
No. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. So
Yeah. I look forward to having some more.
Get on the golf course or have a dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good.
And yeah, we're going to be getting together for dinner here soon, I hope.
Hey, let me know when.
Okay. Sounds good. And thank you all for
Thank you.
joining us today. Hopefully you learned something about the food industry, the food world, how important it is for us, and for those of you in the food industry, some things for you. So until next week, have a great holiday weekend for those who did serve.
Thank you for your
thank
service.
you for your service.
Thank you.
Coach Connor,